Get notifications and stay updated every time I post a challenge podcast by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all and hope you enjoy. So today's guest joining me now, she's from Fresh Meat 2, Sandy Kang. Thanks for joining me today, Sandy.
Hi.
I'm glad I was able to get you on here. You know, you came up quite a bit in requests since, you know, I had the whole Fresh Meat thing going. They wanted to see, everyone started flooding my comments like, get Sandy. So I can make this
yeah,
happen.
it's been a while, huh?
Yeah.
I'm the crazy cat lady now.
Yeah.
Go that way.
Right. But I'm going to basically start by asking, can you talk to me a little bit about, like, what you were up to before, you know, the auditions for, you know, the challenge and how that kind of led to that? And then talk to me a bit about, like, your actual casting process itself.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay. So how long ago was that? When I initially auditioned or applied?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was 20 years old, 13 years ago. Jesus Christ, I'm old. I was living in SeaTac right by the airport. I was working out around there. Like I just had moved out there. So yeah, I was kind of like exploring the whole Seattle scene. I've always wanted to be on the show. I've always watched it growing up. And it's always intrigued me, just, you know, with the character buildup and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I've always liked the context behind the show a lot. And so that's why I kind of always wanted to be on the show. And so, you know, I kind of researched it and I saw that there were a few different types of methods to get onto the show, which you can like send an audition tape or you can email the producers. And so I figured that would be my route to go through just because I like to write and I knew that was kind of something that I was good at. So I just wrote like a short bio and I sent a picture along with it to the directors. And it didn't take very long at all. They messaged me back initially and they had asked me to audition for Bad Girls Club.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first initial reaction that I got from them. And they were like, hey, you know, we just wrapped up our casting for this season already, but we do have openings for Bad Girls. So we think maybe you might fit that role. So why don't you consider doing that? And then I just emailed them back and I was like, no, thank you. So yeah, I turned that down real fast. And I said, you know, well, I'm, you know, still available for the next season if that's something that is still going to be continuing. And so just kind of contact me when that opens up again. And so then I think a few months down the line, they sent me what did they send me? Oh, yeah, it was like an opening. And then they were like, hey, do you want to interview? We have another season coming up. And I think it was the Cancun season. And so, God, it was such a long process. I think initially I had to do like a 20-page interview or something like that.
Yeah, that's what the others told me.
Yeah, and there were like super deep questions, like straight up therapy sessions. So you had to like dig deep and like figure yourself out a little bit to answer these questions. And so yeah, it was like 20 pages long. It took me forever to fill out. But then yeah, and then I advanced on and then I did a Skype interview, I think initially with Damien. I think he was the head casting director at that time. It was like a 2-hour Skype interview. And then they flew me out to LA. And then I did another interview with another lady, I forget her name. And then, no, wait, I don't remember. Gosh, I did so many interviews with so many different people.
It's good. You're good.
This was like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 12 years ago now. Yeah, so I remember interviewing with 2 people like face to face. And then I did another Skype interview. And then Damien called me on Christmas Eve and was like, hey, so you made first runner up for Cancun. But if somebody gets kicked off, then you get on. And then I was like, oh, thanks for the Christmas present.
Right, yeah.
And then so I didn't get to go on that one, but then they called me again later, and they really wanted me to go on Bad Girls Club. And they interviewed me, and so finally I was like, okay, fine, I'll interview for Bad Girls. And then the guy that was interviewing me, I don't know who he was, but he was such a douchebag, and like literally I just could not even like stand talking to him. So I was like, I cannot go on this show because I will literally probably knock someone out the first day and then get sent home. So yeah. So yeah, they were like, hey, all you have to do, we're gonna fly you down. We're gonna do one last interview, and then we'll take your drug test, and then you're on the show. We're filming in 2 weeks, and you have a spot on the show. All you have to do is agree. And I was like, yeah, no, thank you. So well, I told them I needed 24 hours, but then I took like 2 hours, and then I was like, I called everyone important to me, and then I was like, hey, what do you guys think about this? If I were to do something like this, and then I called my sister initially, my oldest sister, and her reaction was, you really think that you're gonna even like last a day on that show? And I was like, she's like, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go on there and someone's gonna say something stupid to you, and then you're gonna just get kicked. And I mean, obviously I learned now, like, play the game and like whatever, but especially at that age, at 20, I was 21, I think then, 22 maybe. I just didn't have that kind of patience the way.
I feel you, yeah.
I mean, I'm from Tacoma, Washington. I grew up like in a very, that kind of demographic where people just don't say stuff like that to you unless they can back it up. So anyways, yeah, so I turned that down, and then I think a few months later they called me and said, hey, we're doing Fresh Meat 2. Would you want to interview for it? And so then I only had to do one interview, and then I didn't even, that was it. Like, it was like a Skype interview or something, and then I left like a month after that to film Fresh Meat 2.
Right. Yeah. With the other Fresh Me Too people, they kind of talked about their process. It's actually funny because Pete's process was like completely wild,
Yeah.
It was more so of like him telling them like, I don't want to do this, and they kept bringing him back. And exactly what you said about.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, exactly what you said about, the Cancun was airing around that time. It was also DC, I think, too, similar to around that time was when Brandon actually was, considered for that, but then they told him he wasn't going to fit that season. So yeah, it's but yours is actually the first where I've heard about a totally different show, like with the Bad Girls Club. So that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I was like, what does that say about me?
Right. Yeah.
I was like, look, I get it. I understand what kind of typecast you were making me to be, but I think I was a little bit more than that. I don't know. I watched like 2 episodes of the season or of that show, and I can watch like 10 minutes of it before I'm like, oh my God, I'm going crazy. So I can't imagine like being surrounded by people like myself, I suppose, who
right, yeah.
have a lot of ego.
Yeah.
I mean, now, well, I don't know now. 33. I'm 33 now. Could I do Bad Girls Club? Probably not. I don't know. At that age, probably could not either. I just don't want to make a fool of myself. I knew that, like, I'm just that person who'd, like, I mean, even till this day, I guess, if something doesn't sit right with me, I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something about it. So
right.
I'm glad I didn't do it. I have no regrets about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So upon like, first getting there with the whole Fresh Meat, they took you guys to the, the tent, and you had that whole little process. Who do you feel like you kind of first resonated with?
Gee, I think, oh God, how long ago was this? I think initially probably the person that I connected with the most was Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Brandon initially. I think everybody was super cool though. Like there wasn't anybody that you're just like, I can't hang out with this person. But probably Brandon, and then Mandy. She lived in Oregon, so she wasn't too far, and then she was like bunked right next to me, so she and I kind of had our moments and things like that. I mean, in the tent, it's just like I don't know, everyone, I guess. Sydney, everyone was pretty cool. I really liked Vinny initially. He was really cool too. Everyone was awesome. I mean, we're literally
Yeah.
like camping, so you have nothing else but to like hang out with each other. But I
Right.
think Brandon was the first person that I was like, okay, I think that like this is somebody that I want to invest like a friendship with, you know, because he was just like an awesome ass person who.
Yeah, he's chill. I still talk to him at like weeks after. You know, I probably did my podcast him a month ago. He's really cool, so I could definitely see where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah,
we've kept in contact. We've hung out a lot. Whenever I'm traveling, we try to link up and stuff like that. But it's been a while. I think it's been a few years since we've seen each other. And he's just busy. He's having babies and, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, for a minute, we were like still hanging out pretty hard. Sydney and I still keep in contact like every so then. It's been a while. I haven't really talked to anybody. I think everybody's kind of at that age right now where we're all like settled into our lives a little bit more. So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
So the whole thing with Fresh Me Too, obviously, it's, you know, you guys are the Fresh Me, and then the vets are picking you. And when you're confessional, when you got picked by Danny, you were like, I would have been okay with any guy picking me but Danny. And he's a little bit of, you know, a polarizing figure in like the challenge, whether it be for good or bad. You know, he draws a lot of eyeballs. But so I'm gonna basically pose the question, like, who were you hoping like for anyone in particular to pick you initially?
I mean, honestly, I don't think we were in that position, especially like coming out initially. We were just kind of thrown out there like that. So we had no idea who was out there. We didn't know, like, I didn't have time to preconceive anything. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the last, I love Danny, but like the last person that I would have wanted was Danny, simply because like I think we just have like different ways of being, you know, where like I kind of need to be heard a little bit more. And I don't think, not that he's like, I don't want to say anything. Oh God, I don't want to say the wrong thing right now. But I think I just needed somebody to kind of see me in an eye level versus like someone who kind of was like, shh, like I got this kind of thing, you know? So, I mean, obviously we're freshmen. We don't really know what the hell we're doing at all. I guess, yeah, of course I would have wanted Darrell or like Landon or Kenny or somebody who like, you know, was more of like an alpha, you know, lead type of person who, you know, wasn't following a little bit more, and then I had to follow. So it was kind of, and I'm not generally that kind of, I mean, obviously like I don't know what I'm doing, but like I think I'm logical and reasonable enough to kind of figure some stuff out, you know, and have some kind of insight or say about something like, hey, maybe there's, you know, obviously I think that showed towards the end a little bit more than like, obviously like I look like a dainty little Asian girl who like can't do anything, right? But then it's like I'm actually pretty smart, so like maybe if I was able to say some things, we could have like had better strategies or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I know what you're saying.
because I was there to win money. Like,
yeah.
I mean, for the experience, for most definitely. But it was like, hey, I want to say something, and I don't think that you know, I don't think any of us really, like any of the freshmen really. So who am I to feel this way still? Right? All this resentment 10 years later.
Yeah. So pretty much everyone that I've, you know, talked to that's been on that season, like we all agreed, like we love that house. So like, what was your initial thoughts on seeing that was where you guys were gonna be staying?
Oh my God, that house was like the most beautiful, insanely dream home you can ever imagine living in. It's just like, I mean, I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so for me, like, I you know, I'm really in tune with nature. I really like value it and stuff like that. So like that was just the most perfect house to live in. You know, it was ginormous. I had my car and I shared a bathroom, and it was like the guest bathroom, but it had like a steam shower that had like 3 knobs just like shooting out and like one just coming down. It was like, and then she got kicked out, or you know, she left the first week, so then I had that bathroom to myself. So yeah, I definitely love that house.
Yeah, as a cold weather guy myself, like, oh my God, if I would have had the opportunity to live in a house like that, I feel like.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't watched the show, but the last thing that I saw them on like some cots in like a concrete, small, tiny rooms. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Is this like Hunger Games now? But like, is it the same way? Like, are they being spoiled and pampered in a way where like they
Well,
used to?
this,
Or
this
like,
particular season, this particular season that they're on, they're actually living in a bunker because like the whole theme's like
like survival, like Survivor.
season number. And like when it first aired was when this whole thing started. So like, what are the odds of that? You know what I mean? Like the whole.
Wait, what are they doing? I'm sorry, my reception is so bad.
Yeah, they when they first started filming this was in October, and when it aired, it was on like the beginning of April. So this was right when quarantine started. So like what are the odds of that? You know what I mean? That they're gonna be living in a bunker when in real life it's airing, it's quarantine.
Yeah. MTV, they're kind of in tune with like life and how energies are being transpired some way, somehow. I don't know, but yeah, ironically, that is pretty suspicious. Right. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, that house was definitely beautiful. I've been trying to figure out like a way to get back in there. Like, is it like Airbnb'd out right now?
West type of,
Star, I cannot understand you. 1 second, hold on. I think you have to talk a little bit slower. Maybe my reception is like it's going too fast. Okay, there you go.
Am I good? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about the Kenny West, because obviously Danny was West's best friend and you were tied to Danny. So you were kind of leaning towards the West side. But say, you weren't tied to Danny or you were like on your own, what side of the fence do you think you would have leaned towards between Kenny and West?
I mean, honestly, I was, oh God, fuck. Sorry, excuse my language. Can I curse on the show? To be honest, like I was a little bit more on Kenny's side, just because I kind of was seeing the way that Wes was running his game, and I was like, this guy's a snake. He's just bullshitting. But obviously, I couldn't come out and say that because Danny. I don't know. I think that like. I don't know. It was all so fucking weird. Like, I know it's a show and I know like it's reality and stuff like that. But I think for me, there was a point where I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, are these people being for real? Are they not being for real? Like, do they hate each other? Or are they trying to just like, build content? But then obviously we're fighting for money. So it's like, how about we just do this? I think for me, I just kind of got along a little bit more with like Kenny's side of things. And then like Wes and I, we just kind of didn't always see eye to eye with stuff. And then obviously like I fucked up. Like honestly, I should have totally like stood up and said some things and like did more of a stance for myself. But like, I had a partner and we had to work together and, I would try to say certain things to him. I would try to like be like, hey, are you sure that like this guy isn't gonna screw us over? I don't know if you really see him the right way. And like, obviously Danny was just, I think Danny had his own things going back at home as well, and so his head wasn't in the game. And he had already done so many of the shows, like he had done so many prior to that. I think that this one, his head wasn't in the game. And
right.
He and Melinda were like having issues and like whatever, they were trying to figure their relationship out. And, I'm over here like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like being led by a blind person who's like not really paying attention. And it's like, I would try to, I didn't want to like pull what they pulled on us, which was like betray my, my alliance. But then at the same time, I'm like, this other guy's being straight up, and it's like this other guy's like doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself. And so it's like, and then like the person I'm having to vote with is like just emotional all the time.
Yeah.
And like, oh my God, this is like terrible. I'm just trying to like get along with everybody because I don't want them to have a reason to like want to throw me away or whatever. And it's like, I felt like I got along with everybody really well, and I thought that was my strategy. Was like, hey, I don't want to like bullshit anyone. That's it. So as long as I don't do that, then we're good. But then we completely got bullshitted. So, and it's like, well, karma, right? It all comes back around. So I'm glad that Carly and Landon won, because they are probably the only ones that didn't like do any kind of shadiness or whatnot. And so yeah, and Carly's my girl. So I don't know what that answer is.
Yes.
I
So
don't
that
even remember
one
your
night
question
in the house,
was.
Danny.
Say that again?
You're good. You answered it correctly.
Okay.
So that one night in the house, Danny kind of seemingly got into it with everybody. Him and Pete initially started with the whole, him stealing Pete. You and him kind
Wait,
of
sorry,
went
you
at
gotta
it
go
over
back
him,
just a little bit.
kind of trying to almost like tell you to shush, and then Brandon. Okay, where did you last hear? Did you hear the part about me
Something
talking about Danny?
Danny stealing Pete's potatoes.
Yeah, so Danny got into it with everybody that night. It started with him stealing Pete's potatoes, and then it kind of escalated into you and him starting a little bit over him kind of telling you to shush, and then Brandon got kind of sticking up for you, and him and Brandon went after it. So kind of like walk me through your perspective on like how that whole.
Oh my God, this is my perspective. Everybody is drunk. So it doesn't show. This is what it doesn't show. It doesn't show that we literally have like unlimited amounts of alcohol, right? And so everybody's just wasted, and everyone's just running around, and so you just have like your most like your senses are just not there, and then it's just all like ego, and we're all just like hungry and drunk, and it's like that's what it is. It doesn't look like that, but that's what it is. And Pete was always making his potatoes. Like he was always like spending so much time and effort making these potatoes. Like everybody knows, like, don't fuck with Pete's potatoes, And so I think Danny's just drunk, and he was just like goofing off. But like Danny and I were having a lot of issues because I think he didn't like the fact that I was just getting along with everybody and kind of like not paying attention the way that I probably should have if it was from all of our own goods. But like, to me, I'm like, whatever. I'm here to have a good time. We're not like working unless we're on a what are they called again? On a challenge.
Challenge.
Yeah, on one of those whatever things. And so, Danny would always try to like contain me a little bit, or he'd always just like want to know where I was, make sure I wasn't like saying too much or something, like, and I'm like, dude, I'm not like an idiot, I'm just having fun. And so he was like, I just remember one night he was like looking for me, and I was hiding, and he was like screaming my name, like out on the streets. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy is just, and so then it was a buildup, it was a lot. It was like, and then I was just like hiding from him all the time because I just didn't want to get into it with him, like, I think he just I don't think he trusted me, and which for good reason. He doesn't know me, and, there's a lot of stuff going on. But, I'm like, I'm just hanging out. Like, that's all I'm doing. And so he was always looking for me. And then finally, that was what it was. I came out. And then that was when he kind of like was like, it all came out. And then I think Brandon was like, dude, you need to like lay off of her. You need to like let her breathe or whatever. And then I don't remember, did he like throw a piece of cheese at him or something? What did they show?
He threw it at Wes, and then like he
threw it at
Brandon. I don't know.
I don't remember. I just remember getting into like they were about to fight, like straight up. And I remember getting in the middle, and then I was like, okay, these guys are way too strong. Like I'm gonna get like they're not seeing me right now. So I need to like, and then that's when the whole house came out, and then they were like breaking them up and stuff. And Danny was pissed at me, and he was like yelling at me still. And I'm like, dude, you are crazy. We'll just blame it on alcohol. We'll blame everything.
Yeah, I guess we right. But talk to me about the exile a little bit, because you guys were not really favored going into it. P and Jill were a pretty good team, but then you guys were winning for pretty much what seemed like all of it. But I've heard like rumors that like you're not supposed to carry your partner's weight. Like in the exile, and that Pete carried Jill's weight, so she was running with like nothing, while you had to keep yours on. Like, so they didn't, like, Danny wasn't carrying yours. Like, can you talk to me a little bit about the exile and how close it really was, and what I just talked about?
Yeah, I'm probably still a little bit bitter about that, just because that definitely was like really kind of effed up. So when we initially began, like before we even started the exile, they like specified the rules to us, which, there's a ton of rules that where they're like, this is, whatever. And so they didn't show that part, but I don't know. Did they tell you guys that we had to carry our own bags or whatnot? Was that in the show? Was that on the edited part?
I can't really recall, but
okay, well, that was one of the
really
things. So
recall.
It was like one of them were like, yeah, you have to carry your own bags. You can't carry each other's stuff. You can't cut through shortcuts. You have to follow the trail. You have to stay within like 10 feet of each other or something like that. Like you can't leave your partner. Like you can't start the puzzles unless your partner was within a certain distance. Like there was certain rules, right? Like you can't just fucking do whatever you want to do. And so yeah, so I didn't even know until I watched the show that Pete carried Jill's bag. So that was when I was like, that's like, yes, right there. Because like, that's my money that you just stole from me, That's like, they should have been disqualified.
Right.
Like they should have been disqualified. He carried her bag, like straight up carried her bags, But what can I do, right? Like, I don't know. Sorry, I have all these messages coming.
You're good.
Yeah, so yeah, I was definitely livid when I saw that. I actually cried. I was pissed. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like, it was really close, and it was as close as they showed it, Of course, I was exhausted and kind of delirious running, but it was like, we were doing it, and we were beating them, and I can tell that we were beating them, and, there was moments where we would pass each other, and it was just like, I was like, we got this, but then like, it was that last incline hill that we had to do, like coming back around. I think that's what got me, that it just exhausted me. And so, towards the end, I slowed down, and, I'm carrying, which it's just like, I don't know, like the producers and all of the, production and all that stuff. It's like, I don't trust that shit anymore, because obviously like you clearly screwed me over. And then it's like, initially when we first began our run, Danny was like, look, okay, so they were like, they had us lined up, right, before we had to like walk up to our bags to pick them up and show it on the camera or whatever. Before that, Danny's looking over at the bags, and he's like, this doesn't look right to me. And he's like, this is Sandy's and this is Danny's, right? And I'm like, or he was asking that to the producers, and they were like, yeah. And he was like, why does that bag look bigger than that bag? That's supposed to be the 50-pound bag, and that's supposed to be the 75-pound bag. Why is it switched around the other way? And so then and I was like, I'm that naive, I guess, that I was like, Danny, stop tripping. Like, let's get ready for this, And he's like, no, this isn't right. So he like had them weigh the bags. And then he was like, yeah, the bags were switched. You were going to have to carry a 75-pound backpack. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, thank you for doing that, because literally I would have carried a 75-pound backpack, but instead I carried a 50-pound backpack while Jill didn't carry anything. So obviously, they're going to go faster, right? But yeah, after that, I was like, oh, okay. And then like we did I don't know if I'm going to get sued or something right now.
No,
I don't even care. It's been so long. No, so when we initially did our first puzzle, I got that thing down like that. Like, it was like literally like third grade math, okay? And like, I got it down so fast, and I like was like, we got it. And the guy that was like evaluating it was like, no, it's not right. And I go, what do you mean it's not right? And I literally checked it, and he was like, it's not right. And I'm like, it's right. Like, this adds up, this adds up, this adds up, this adds up, this adds up. And I literally had to go through every number and literally prove to this guy that these answers were correct, right? And he was like, oh, it's right. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You just wasted like 15 seconds of our fucking time. So like clearly they were trying to get us off, like obviously, just maybe for better content, maybe for better story, because then Wes loses his ally, or maybe, or I don't know, whatever, they have their ideas about it. But I'm like, I totally got robbed. And it's like, look, I'm not fucking weak, I'm not stupid, like I know what I'm doing, I bust my ass off, and I got robbed. And it's like, you know, production or whatever, you know, makes for a better show. If that makes you fucking sleep better at night, that, you know, your ratings are higher or whatever, like go for it. But like I told them at the end, they're like, do you want to do another show? It's like, I don't know, I think I'm good, you know, like I don't know if this is my thing, if that's the kind of thing we're doing here.
Yeah. We've even seen, like, as of late, like with like recent season, like production, you know, it's been like under, you know, people have had conspiracies, and it's been like widely, you know, speculated that production like tampers with, like, you know, times and like other situations to give other teams, you know, advantages when what
I think that's why it's just like, I mean, honestly, I think integrity and honesty goes a really long way. So for them to do things like that, I think it's just really screwed up, especially the way that it really affects people too, you know? And like, I think that's just insane to me, to think that that's okay to do. It's like you're playing God here, because literally people that are watching this show, you're making a perception for them to believe, you know? And it's like, the reason why the show had been such a successful show is because of, like, you know, the context behind it, like the genuinity of it all. And now it's like I'm now, you know, a witness to that. I don't know, like this isn't right. It's not right to me, you know. There's no because like I was gonna literally, like, if Danny didn't say anything, I would have been we would have lost by like a ton, you know. And if right, so like that's just one aspect of it, like whatever. I mean, it's a show, you know. They have to have their ratings. They need to like compete with all these other reality shows or whatever is going on in the world. I don't know. I don't watch TV, so anymore. Anyways,
you don't watch TV, right?
Do people watch TV anymore? Is it like Netflix and like Hulu and all that stuff?
I can't say that I do.
Wait, how do people watch
the
show
for everybody,
now?
So it's on MTV.
Okay, so cable is still a thing.
So yeah, cable. So
sorry, I'm like not in tune with life.
Do you feel like
do I feel like what? I'm sorry.
Do you feel like you got Do you feel like you got a fair portrayal?
A fair portrayal. Fair portrayal. I was only on there for like 6 episodes, so I don't really know exactly. I think I had to ask people. I'm like, how was I being perceived? And they were like, I think they made you look really innocent. And so, you know, I was like, okay. I mean, that's the funny thing, right? It's like, I think they portrayed me as this really goody innocent girl, but yet like they wanted me on Bad Girls Gone. So so I think there's like some irony in that. I don't know. I think that I definitely am not as like innocent as I may look. I don't know if it's an intentional thing, but I definitely think that there are times when I could have like not, but I was like, let me just like that whole wrestling match with like Evelyn and Laurel, like I set that up, you know, like I was like, hey, I don't know, you're bored. We're like fucking bored in this house. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
They don't give us, we can't read books. We can't like watch TV. So it's like, we're just hanging out. Like you run out of stuff to talk about. Like, let me just, I mean, the only fight in the house was because of me.
Do you wish you would have, do you wish you would have eventually went on the Real World, or were you happy the way, you know, you just went straight to the challenge?
I think that being on the Real World would have been cool. You know, I don't know if that season would have been right with me. The Cancun season. I met a lot of those girls and the guys and stuff like that after, and they're super cool. Like they were, you know, I connected with them, and I probably could have built like a really good friendship with all of them and all that stuff. I think that's really what it is. Yeah, I would have definitely have loved to be on the show because it would have given me more time, you know, more time with these people and more opportunities to grow and learn about myself or whatever it was that I really wanted to do initially going on that show. And then like, yeah, because I think for me, as anyone else, really, we all have layers, so it takes a while, I think, to get to know me anyways. Like I come from like a really crazy background, as most of us are. So it's like it takes that layers to like peel before you get to know me and more about me or whatever. So yeah, of course I would have loved to have been on that show and then
Right.
had more of like a foundation going on to like an actual challenge instead of like going on there not knowing anything or anyone. Yeah.
This question's like more of one for the fans. They always want to know like why we haven't like seen someone do another challenge. So were you called again to do any more challenges?
They called me once. I don't like. I saw it and I didn't answer it. I didn't see the call, and then I called them back and they didn't answer. So I was like, I don't know why they were calling me, but I told them initially, like in my interview, that I didn't want to do any more shows. My last interview. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but yeah, I haven't been asked to go back on. So, and I honestly didn't know if I don't. I guess now, like, yeah, I probably would just because I have nothing better else to do. But, no, like then I probably, I don't know, like it's not a big thing for me the way that it was before. Like I think I could do without it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to since we last seen you?
What have I been up to? Just living my life. Trying not to get knocked out. I'm kidding. No, I've just been working, living. I'm still single. I just moved to San Diego, like I said, 2 weeks ago. I was planning to move to New York, and then it was a debate. I've been living in Seattle, like downtown Seattle in the city for the past 5 years. Just working, trying to like figure out what I want to do. And I realized that I want a better climate. I want to find a place where I can put my roots down and like settle down. Like I'm 33 now. I'm still single. All my friends are married with kids. Everybody has like their life rooted. And I think for me, I realized that like as much as I love, the Pacific Northwest and like all my friends and all my family are there, I'm just depressed. Like 9 months out of a year, it's just really bad weather. And, I like God could literally put down the most perfect man in front of my face and I would not see him because I just don't want to be there. So I realized like I want to be where I want to be, which is like where the sun and the beach and like people are still dancing and stuff. That's where I want to be. So yeah, I moved here and I live in downtown San Diego. And yeah, this is what I'm doing now. I'm still in the air too at this age. I want to like find the love of my life and I want to get married and I want to have kids and I want to open up some restaurants and open up some bars and, do all those things. So that's what I'm doing. But thank you for having me on. So this is fun.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I'll let you know like when this is out if you want to go give it a look.
Can I approve it before you put it on? Are you going to edit it and make me look better than I am?
Yeah. Well, not like obviously the visual, but yeah, like I'm going to edit out like, maybe some of the side combos and stuff, but.
All of my curse words? Are you going to bleep my curse words?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize you were 20. I thought you were like 24 or something. You're a baby.
Everyone says I look 25, so, I mean.
Well, I feel like everybody's just like older than or younger than they look nowadays. Hopefully, I don't look 33, but I'm like, how old is that kid? He's like 12. Oh snap! But yeah, I'm supposed to meet some friends soon too. Mm-hmm. But thanks for having me on. You're gonna have Teresa on.
For next week.
That's awesome. Tell her I said hi. I follow her on Instagram and we always like each other's stuff, but we haven't talked in a while.
Will do.
All right. Any other questions? Oh.
Take care.